What are you still mad about? When I was 7, I spent the night at my cousin's house. Before dinner, my uncle led the prayer. When he finished, my cousin blurts, "Op had his eyes open while you prayed," so my uncle railed on me about how it's disrespectful to have your eyes open while you pray. I said, how did he know my eyes were open if his eyes were closed? My uncle told me I couldn't have dessert. I never had my eyes open during the prayer. Female doggy. Back in my junior year history class, we were writing an open book quiz. I dropped my pencil and it bounced under the desk of a guy next to me. He noticed and picked it up. My teacher immediately failed both of us for cheating. The quiz was maybe 5% of our grade, and it was 20 years ago, but it still burns my grits. When I was in 2nd grade, I asked my teacher permission to go to the bathroom. She said yes. When I came back, I got in trouble for leaving the classroom without permission. When my son was 3, this big kid pushed him off the top of a bouncy house slide, then jumped on top of him, breaking his arm. I ran over to my son while my friend confronted the kid's dad. When told his son broke my kid's arm, the dad laughed. When I was in kindergarten, my school had a student Olympics where all the kids would participate in physical competitions, like sprinting and jump ropes or other kid-friendly competitions. I was in the lead for the sprinting competition and it was the final lap. I was gonna win, I was so close, but one of my classmates ran behind me, and shoved me down, making my knee bleed profusely. I don't care that I was injured, I'm just fluffing pissed that dip garbage won. He didn't even get in trouble. I'm still pissed about that. Fluff you, Michael. We had a classroom pet lizard in the 3rd grade. I went to the pencil sharpener during class and noticed that it had been frightened and detached its tail, something we learned about lizards when they brought it into the classroom. I loudly gasped when I saw it and received after-school detention for disrupting the class. I was an 8-year-old that was punished for seeing something scary to me, still angry. Bank of America doing their best to fluff up my home loan 10 years ago. Even though it eventually was sorted out, my blood pressure rises every time I think about it. Only being invited to my in-laws' house because they need something technology-related fixed under the guise of food. When I was in the 6th grade, I had trouble with math, and as such, tended to ask a lot of questions in class. Once, when we were reviewing something, I think it was algebra, I raised my hand to ask a question because I didn't understand, and the teacher said, in an annoyed tone and totally serious, "Oh, geez. I guess you can bring a horse to water but you can't make it drink." Embarrassed me to the point where I never asked questions in that class again and ended up just barely passing. I'm 25 now, and it still makes me mad. Fluff you, Mrs. Magnuson. I graduated in 2008, in the middle of that recession. There were no jobs available because I was magically overqualified with my college degree and underqualified with no experience. I got one interview and I was perfect for the job, but the employer said that I lived too far away. The commute would have been an hour and 10 minutes. But I was willing to move because I had just finished school and there was nothing keeping me in my college town. The interviewer just kept shaking his head saying, "That's too far of a drive." Dude, fluffing, listen to me. It would have been an awesome job. So back when I was in kindergarten, my class has a huge snitch. We were doing arts and crafts and I ended up getting her as a partner. She said my name and when I turned around the string I was holding ended up hitting her in the arm, a string, and she cried and told the teacher, had to move my clip down, and my parents kept telling me, "Don't hit people," after all that I still hate her. Two things. In 1998, when I was 13 years old, the Smashing Pumpkins played a free concert in Minneapolis. I had never been to a concert before, but I convinced my mom to let me go. I had plans with my best friend and was super excited. That was until one of the neighbors needed a last-minute babysitter overnight to watch her infant and toddler. Mom decided I was doing that instead. She paid me $100 for the work, and I remember that being the first redesigned $100 bill I had ever seen, but I missed the concert. 100K people showed up. Yeah, it probably would have been a nightmare situation with that many people and me being so young, but I didn't get to be a part of it, and people are still talking about it. In #X200B, at my old job we had 2 community fridges for everyone to bring their lunches, and freezers for us to store some bulk stuff. I had a box of corn dogs in the freezer. One day, I went to the break room to make a corn dog for lunch. I put my hand in the box, and was infuriated to find out that not only had all of my corn dogs been eaten by someone that was not me, rather than throwing the box away, they filled the box with ice cubes to weigh it down and put it back in the freezer. We all labeled our food with our names and dates, so whoever took my lunch knew it was my lunch. I know people's lunch gets stolen at work all the time. It's the audacity of weighing the box down and putting it back that really makes me mad. This was 7 or 8 years ago and I'm still mad about it. Never did find out who did it either. When I was at university, my sister's school had a fundraising thing where they accepted donations for them to sell off in a car boot sale. My mum gave away my entire book collection without letting me know. This included a book that my granddad gave to me when I turned 15 where he wishes me the best, a couple from teachers after I left their class, and a few that I exchanged with friends when I graduated secondary school. We gave each other a copy of some of our favorite books. I know I'm a nerd. I only found out months later with no way to track them down. Being the only second-grade class in the history of my school to miss out in the annual apple-picking trip, all because a group of boys had been consistently acting out for a while, the teachers believed the best way to punish them was to pull the field trip from everyone. Of course, the boys didn't learn anything from it, and I was left quite bitter that I made it to the final two for a very good marketing job in a hiring process with WWE 6 years ago, only for at the final hour when they made their decision, a former employee got wind of the job and just texted the hiring manager, and both of us were out. My best friend in 7th grade texted me while pretending to be her mom. She texted me saying that she had killed herself, and when I saw my friend in person the next week, she laughed when I told her that I had thrown up because I cried so hard. Now I have major trust issues and I still have a grudge on her. That my parents sold my longboard that I bought and kept the money to themselves. My mom let my sister play Nintendogs on my DS. She wanted to buy a new dog. The problem was to do that she had to delete another dog, and she deleted Bello, my best dog that I had trained for over a year. My sister was 4 at the time, but I am still mad about it. I was at a skating competition about 4 hours away. I came home and found out my aunt had given my cats away to the SPCA and left before I came home, so I couldn't confront her about it. Fluff you, Aunt K. I was working at a large nationwide retail store a few years back. My girlfriend, now wife, had brought me half a pizza so I could eat something, so I take it to the back, write my name real big on the box, and put it in the refrigerator. 2 hours later I go on my lunch break, grab the box, and it feels a little off. I set it on a table and open it up, empty. Some jackass ate all 4 slices of pizza and put the empty box back in the refrigerator. I'll never know who it was since the break room doesn't have cameras, and there are so many employees that go in and out within the 2-hour window. I don't have the words for what I felt, but it was somewhere between just sobbing on the floor and rage. I was so happy that my so thought of me enough to bring me food, and was really looking forward to it because I almost never ate at work, only to get in there and open an empty box. Fluff you, fellow large nationwide retail store employee. Like, 6 years ago I was on vacation and had my oldest cousin pet sit my cats. We were only on vacay for 2 weeks. When we came back, she clearly didn't go in the house. The food and water bowls were completely empty, the litter boxes weren't cleaned, etc. And when I confronted her about it, her response? "Oh, I forgot, it's not that big of a deal anyway." I now understand it's not petty in the fluff and slightest. Edit, please stop replying, my inbox is fluffing dead. And yes, the kitties are fine now. Other than the fact one of them has cancer, but I highly doubt it's from this. I was talking to my neighbor after school one day, and had asked me how my stepmom's pregnancy was doing. I didn't know what he was talking about, so he showed me a picture of a positive pregnancy test my stepmom had sent him 2 days prior. I had told my parents I was upset that they did not tell me. They denied it. When I confronted my dad in the parking lot about him lying to me, he told me he does not lie to me. He denied that my stepmom was pregnant in the first place. The child is my father's, and #X200B. About 2 months later, my stepmom walks up to me and says, "Since you already know I'm pregnant, it's a girl by the way." Edit, my neighbor is not the father of the child, he has his wonderful partner. I have gay neighbors. Christmas Day when I was 8, I rode my brand new scooter to grandma's to show my uncle and left it in the front yard. I came out with my uncle less than 5 minutes later and someone stole that motherfluffer. Edit, I don't remember this, but I was talking to my brother, apparently he was there too and got his scooter stolen as well. When I was 19 and my sister was 16. My parents bought sister her first car. They said it wasn't truly hers, but when either of theirs weren't working they always asked her permission to borrow it. That car eventually was passed to me when they gave her second car. This car was a gift from one of my father's co-workers. The man told him it was for his daughter since the guy worked with my dad since my mom was pregnant with her. When I pointed out that my sister already had a car, it made sense to give it to me. My father explained that since the guy didn't know I existed, the car had to go to my sister. Makes no sense to me, but I'm not about to argue with my dad, so I asked that if when I ready to get my own car could they help me out. He agreed. Time comes when I've been working a while and the piece of garbage I'd gotten from my sis is on its last legs. I did some shopping around and found something. I asked if they could help as they'd promised. I kid you not, my sister called a family meeting and convinced my parents that they shouldn't help me out because I had a job. They of course agreed with her. I'm in my 50s still bitter, thanks sis. Edited to add a time frame.